She was so happy to share that she was pregnant, but what she heard from her husband— Samantha Miller held the blood test with trembling hands, her heart beating so loudly it seemed to echo through the walls of the small cafe where she had worked since she was 18. After 2 years of trying, she had finally gotten pregnant with Michael, her husband of 5 years. She climbed the stairs to his office, located on the upper floor of the establishment he had inherited from his father. Michael was focused on spreadsheets when she knocked on the door. "Mike, I need to tell you something," said Samantha, entering with a radiant smile. "Oh, hi, honey. Look, I also need to tell you something important," Michael replied without looking up from the papers. "Come here." Samantha approached, still holding the test behind her back. The nervousness mixed with joy made her cheeks flush. "You first," she said, wanting to savor every second before sharing the news. Michael finally looked at her, but his expression was serious, almost somber. He took off his glasses and ran his hand through his brown hair, a gesture Samantha knew well, and that indicated tension. "Sam, I need some time to think about our marriage," he said, avoiding her gaze. The words hit like a bucket of cold water. Samantha felt the paper crumple in her hands. "What do you mean, Mike? What kind of time?" "I don't know. Maybe it's better if we take a break. I'm not sure if I'm ready for all this." He gestured vaguely toward the cafe downstairs. "The responsibility, the routine, everything has become too much pressure." Samantha swallowed hard, the test feeling like it weighed a ton in her hands. "But Mike, we always dreamed of having a family. We tried so hard." Her voice faltered. "I know, Sam, but maybe I was fooling myself. Maybe I'm not the right man for all this." She took a step back, feeling her legs tremble. The test slipped from her hands and fell to the floor. "What's this?" Michael asked, bending down to pick up the paper. "It's nothing," Samantha said quickly, trying to grab the test before he did, but it was too late. Michael had already seen the lab header and the numbers confirming the 3-month pregnancy. Silence filled the office. Michael turned pale, staring at the result. "Sam, are you 3 months pregnant?" she whispered, tears beginning to stream down. "I came here to tell you, to celebrate together." Michael sank into his chair, his head in his hands. "My God, Sam, what timing." "Timing?" Her voice came out louder than intended. "Mike, this is what we always wanted." "Not now, Sam. Not like this. I'm not ready." Samantha felt the world spin. She leaned on the desk to keep from falling. "Are you leaving me, now that we found out we're having a baby?" "I need to think, Sam. I need to understand what I'm feeling." She left the office without another word, going down the stairs on shaky legs. In the cafe's main room, a few tables still had late afternoon customers. Samantha tried to pull herself together, but her co-workers Barbara and Jennifer noticed something was wrong. "Sam, are you okay?" asked Barbara, a 50-year-old woman who had worked at the cafe for decades. "I'm fine," lied Samantha, tying her apron with unnecessary force. It was then that she looked through the window and saw Michael coming down, walking toward the parking lot. But he didn't go straight to the car. He stopped on the sidewalk where Emily was waiting. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. Emily was the new administration intern that Michael had hired 3 months ago, exactly when Samantha had gotten pregnant without knowing. A young woman in her early 20s, with curly hair and an easy smile. Michael always talked about her at home, praising her dedication and intelligence. Samantha watched through the window as they talked. Michael seemed more relaxed than he had been in recent months. They laughed at something she couldn't hear, and Emily touched his arm in a way that seemed too intimate for a professional relationship. Samantha's stomach churned, and it wasn't just because of the morning sickness that had started. "Sam, are you sure you're okay?" insisted Jennifer, a younger woman who had become a good friend. "Mike is out there with Emily," Samantha murmured, still looking through the window. "The intern?" Barbara approached the window. "That's strange. She shouldn't be here at this hour." "They seem very comfortable," commented Jennifer with a worried tone. Samantha saw when Michael took something out of his pocket and handed it to Emily. She couldn't see what it was, but the young woman smiled broadly and put the object in her bag. "I'm going home," Samantha announced suddenly, untying her apron. "But there's still an hour until closing," protested Barbara. "I don't feel well." Samantha left through the back door, avoiding passing by the front where Michael and Emily were still talking. The way to her house was short, just 3 blocks, but it seemed like an eternity. She and Michael lived in a simple house in the Brooklyn neighborhood of New York. They had bought the property 2 years after marrying, with the help of the inheritance he received from his grandfather. It was a home they had built together, full of plans and dreams. Samantha threw herself on the sofa and finally allowed the tears to fall freely. 3 months pregnant. The baby they wanted so much was growing inside her, but the father wasn't ready. Worse yet, he seemed interested in someone else. The phone rang. It was a message from Michael. "I'll be home late today. I have some things to take care of." She looked around the room. The wedding photos on the shelf, the baby decoration books they had bought the previous year, the paintings they had chosen together. Everything seemed like a dream that was falling apart. Around 9 at night, Michael came home. Samantha was in the kitchen, mechanically stirring a soup she didn't intend to eat. "Sam, we need to talk," he said, stopping at the kitchen door. "Talk about what? About how you're not ready to be a father? Or about why you were with Emily until now?" Michael sighed. "I was helping her with some personal problems, that's all." "Personal problems?" Samantha turned to face him. "Since when did you become your intern's relationship counselor?" "It's not like that, Sam. She's going through a complicated situation at home. And what does that have to do with us, with our life, with our baby?" Michael approached, but stopped when he saw the expression on her face. "Sam, I'm not rejecting the baby, I'm just scared." "Scared or regretful?" "Both," he admitted, lowering his head. The brutal honesty of the answer hurt more than any lie could have. "You know, I've always been afraid of not being a good father," Michael continued. "My father died when I was little. I don't know how to be a real father. But we would learn together, Mike, like we've always done everything. What if I can't? What if I mess everything up like he did?" Samantha took a deep breath, trying to understand his pain. She knew the loss of his father had marked Michael deeply, but she never imagined it could affect his dreams of fatherhood so much. "Your father didn't mess anything up, Mike. He got sick. It wasn't his choice to leave early. But what if I inherit his problems? What if I don't know how to love properly?" "You love me," she said, approaching. "You've always loved me well. Loving you is different. With you I can choose. A child will depend on me for everything." Samantha touched his face, feeling the stubble and the tension in his jaw muscles. "We'll learn, honey. Together." Michael closed his eyes and leaned into her touch, but then pulled away. "I need time, Sam. That's all I'm asking." "How much time?" "I don't know." "And the baby? He won't wait for you to decide whether you want to be a father or not." "I know." The silence that followed was heavy. Samantha felt a slight cramp in her lower abdomen and instinctively brought her hand to her belly. "Does it hurt?" Michael asked, concerned. "A little. It's normal in the beginning," she lied. Actually, she was worried. She had read that intense emotional stress could cause complications. "Maybe you should see a doctor. Maybe you should decide if you want to be a father before pretending to worry about me." Michael recoiled, as if he had been slapped. "That's not fair, Sam." "Fair? Fair would have been you telling me you had doubts about our marriage before I got pregnant. Fair would be you not comforting another woman while your wife is here, alone, trying to process that she's going to be a mother. Emily has nothing to do with this." "Yes, she does. You spend more time with her than with me. You talk more about her than you talk about us." Michael opened his mouth to protest, but stopped. Maybe he had realized it was true himself. "I'll sleep in the guest room tonight," he said. "How long will you sleep there?" "Until I can think straight." Samantha watched him go up the stairs, taking only a pillow. She was left alone in the kitchen, with cold soup and an uncertain future. That night she barely slept. Every noise in the house made her hope that Michael would come down and say he had changed his mind, that he was happy about the pregnancy. that he wanted to build a family with her. But he didn't come down. The next morning, Samantha woke up with nausea stronger than usual. She ran to the bathroom and vomited until there was nothing left in her stomach. When she came out, Michael was at the door with a cup of tea in his hand. "I made ginger tea," he said. "My mother always said it helped with nausea." "Thank you," she whispered, taking the cup. "Sam, No, Mike, not now. I need to go to work." "Are you sure you should work feeling like this?" "I need to work, especially now that I don't know if I can count on you." The pain in his eyes was evident, but Samantha couldn't feel sorry for him. She was too exhausted for that. At the cafe, Barbara and Jennifer greeted her with extra care. It was obvious they knew something serious had happened. "Did you talk to Michael?" asked Barbara. "We talked," Samantha replied, focusing on the motion of organizing the cups. And he needs time to think about whether he wants to stay married to me." Jennifer let out a soft curse. "Sorry, Sam. But what an idiot." "No, he's not an idiot, he's scared." "Scared of what?" "Of being a father, of not knowing how to do it." Barbara, who was the mother of 3 grown children, shook her head. "None of us know how to be a father or mother before having a child. We learn by doing." That's what I tried to tell him. "And Emily?" asked Jennifer, always direct. "What about Emily?" "Sam, yesterday you were watching them talking on the street. It's not normal." Samantha stopped organizing the cups. He said he was helping her with personal problems. "What kind of problems?" "I don't know. I didn't ask." "Maybe you should ask," suggested Barbara. The day passed slowly. Samantha tried to focus on work, but every customer who asked for coffee with sugar reminded her of Michael, who always drank sweet coffee. Every couple that came in holding hands made her think about what she had lost. Around 3 in the afternoon, Emily showed up. Samantha saw her through the window before she came in, and her heart raced. "Hi, Samantha," Emily said, approaching the counter with a hesitant smile. "Hi," Samantha replied curtly. "Can I talk to you for a minute?" Barbara and Jennifer exchanged glances, clearly tense. "Of course," Samantha said, coming around the counter. They sat at a table in the corner, away from the other customers. "Samantha, I know you must be thinking things about me and Michael." "I don't know what you're talking about. I know you two are having problems, he told me." Samantha felt anger rising in her chest. "He told you about our problems?" "It wasn't like that. He was obviously upset, and I asked if everything was all right." "And you thought it was appropriate to meddle in your boss's personal life?" Emily lowered her eyes. "Samantha, I know how this must look, but it's not what you're thinking." "And what am I thinking?" "That there's something between us, but there isn't." Samantha studied the young woman's face. Emily seemed sincere, but Samantha was too hurt to trust her own perceptions. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I like both of you. You're a beautiful couple. And because I understand what he's feeling." "How so?" "My father also died when I was a child. I know what it's like to grow up afraid of not knowing how to love properly." Samantha felt something stir inside her. It wasn't the baby. It was still too early for that. It was something like understanding. "Michael told you about his father?" "Yes." "And about how he's afraid he won't be able to be a good father?" "And what did you tell him?" "That fear is normal. That everyone is afraid of not being good enough for the people they love." Samantha took a deep breath. "Emily, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Yesterday, when you were talking on the street, did Michael give you something?" Emily smiled sadly. "The address of a psychologist. I was telling him about my anxiety attacks, and he said therapy had helped him when his father passed away." Samantha felt her suspicions dissolving and being replaced by something more complicated, gratitude mixed with confusion. "He goes to therapy?" "He did. He stopped a few years ago but said it might be time to go back." "Why didn't he tell me this?" "Maybe because he's ashamed, or afraid of seeming weak." Samantha looked through the window. Michael was arriving, walking slowly along the sidewalk, his shoulders hunched. Emily, thank you for talking with me. Samantha, can I give you some advice? Go ahead. Don't give up on each other. Sometimes we get so afraid of messing things up that we end up messing them up anyway. Michael entered the cafe at that moment, looking surprised to see the two of them talking. Hi, he said hesitantly. Hi, Samantha replied. Emily stood up. I should be going. Thanks for the talk, Samantha. She left, leaving Michael and Samantha alone at the table. What were you talking about? Sandy asked. About you. Michael turned pale. Sam, Why didn't you tell me you went to therapy? He sat down heavily in the chair Emily had left empty. Because I thought you'd think I was weak. Weak? Mike seeking help isn't weakness. To me it always seemed that way. My mother was always so strong after my father died. Never needed anyone's help. Everyone needs help sometimes, including your mother, I'm sure. Michael was quiet for a moment. Sam, I want you to know there's nothing between me and Emily. I know, she explained. She explained that you were helping her with anxiety, that you gave her a psychologist's number. Oh, Mike, do you think it would be good to go back to therapy? He looked at her with a vulnerable expression she hadn't seen in a long time. Maybe. Especially now. Because of the baby. Because of everything. The baby. Us. My fears. Samantha reached her hand across the table. After a moment's hesitation, Michael took it. Can we try again? She asked. Will you forgive me for being an idiot? Only if you promise me we'll face this together. No more secrets. No more talking to other people about our problems. I promise. They stood there holding hands, while the coffee brewed around them. Not everything was resolved. Samantha knew that. But it was a start. That night, Michael went back to their room. They didn't make love. There was still too much to heal. But they slept in each other's arms for the first time in days. The next morning, Michael called the psychologist. Dr. William Parker had a small but cozy office in Soho. Michael had scheduled the appointment for a week later, but the doctor managed to fit him in that same day, saying emotional emergencies were a priority. Michael, how long has it been since you've been here? Asked Dr. Parker, a 60-year-old man with graying hair and a gentle smile. 3 years, when I thought I had gotten over my father issues. And what brought you back? Michael talked about the pregnancy, his fears, the crisis in the marriage. Dr. Parker listened without interruption. Michael, do you remember what we discussed about complicated grief? Vaguely. You lost your father when you were 8 years old. You never had a consistent model of fatherhood. It's natural to be afraid. But I love Samantha. How can I be afraid of having a child with her? Because love and fear aren't mutually exclusive. In fact, sometimes we love so much that the fear becomes even greater. Michael nodded, feeling something click into place. What do I do with this fear? First, you acknowledge that it's valid. Then, you work with it instead of running from it. And how do I work with it? By coming here, talking to your wife. Perhaps the two of you can come together sometimes. Would Samantha come? Why don't you ask her? When Michael got home that night, Samantha was in the kitchen preparing a simple dinner. She had had nausea again during the day, but was trying to keep a normal routine. How was it with the doctor? She asked. Good. He suggested you come with me sometimes. Samantha stopped stirring the sauce. Couples therapy? Something like that. For us to learn how to handle all of this together. Do you want me to go? I do, if you want to. Samantha turned to face him. Michael seemed lighter than he had been in weeks. Of course I want to. They scheduled the first joint session for the following week. Meanwhile, their routine slowly returned to normal. Michael started helping more at the coffee shop, especially when Samantha had nausea. They talked more, shared worries, made cautious plans. But the peace didn't last long. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. In the therapy session, Dr. Parker asked a question that changed everything. Michael, have you talked to your mother about the pregnancy? Michael and Samantha exchanged looks. Not yet, Michael admitted. Why? Because she'll be so happy, and if I can't be a good father, I'll disappoint her too. Michael, Samantha said softly, your mother is going to be a grandmother. She has a right to know. I know, it's just that— What are you afraid she'll say? Asked Dr. Parker. That she expects me to be like my father, and I don't even really remember what he was like. Maybe it's time to ask her, the psychologist suggested. Mrs. Margaret Miller, Michael's mother, lived in a small apartment in the Little Italy neighborhood. At 62, she kept her house immaculate and still worked as a seamstress, even though she could afford to retire. When Michael and Samantha arrived for Sunday lunch, she immediately sensed something was different. You two seem strange, she said, serving the roast chicken. Did something happen? Michael looked at Samantha, who encouraged him with a nod. Mum, Samantha is pregnant. Mrs. Margaret dropped the platter. Luckily it didn't break, but the chicken scattered across the table. Pregnant? She asked, her eyes filling with tears. 3 months, confirmed Samantha. Mrs. Margaret stood up and hugged her daughter-in-law tightly. My God, what joy! I'm going to be a grandmother. But when she pulled away, she saw the expression on Michael's face. Why aren't you happy, son? Michael lowered his eyes. I am happy, Mom. I'm just scared. Scared of what? Of the possibility of not knowing how to be a father. Mrs. Margaret sat down slowly. Michael, where is this worry coming from? Mom, I barely remember Dad. How can I be a good father if I don't even know how a real father acts? Mrs. Margaret was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was choked up. Son, there's something I never told you about your father. Michael and Samantha exchanged glances. What, Mum? He was also very scared when he found out I was pregnant with you. He was? He was. He even cried. He said he didn't know if he would be a good father because his own father had been very strict. Michael's eyes widened. Grandpa was strict. He was. Your father grew up afraid he wouldn't know how to show affection. But do you know what happened when you were born? What? He looked you in the eyes and all the fear disappeared. He said he had never felt such a strong love in his life. Samantha felt her eyes fill with tears. And was he a good father? Michael asked. He was the best father you could have had. Patient, affectionate, funny. You two were inseparable. I don't remember. You were very young when he passed away, but I remember, and I can tell you everything about him. Mrs. Margaret got up and went to a cabinet in the corner of the room. From there, she pulled out a dusty shoebox. I never showed you this because I thought it would be too painful, but maybe it's time. She opened the box, revealing dozens of photos, letters, and small objects. Michael approached hesitantly. The first photo showed a young man holding a baby. The man was clearly Michael, just about 20 years younger. The baby must have been a few months old. This was taken when you were 6 months old, said Mrs. Margaret. Your father insisted you wear this little sailor outfit. He said you looked like a little captain. Michael took the photo with trembling hands. He looks happy. He was. You two were the joy of his life. Mrs. Margaret kept pulling more photos from the box. Michael playing in the park, his father teaching him to walk, the two of them sleeping together on the couch. He read to you every night, she continued. Always the same story, The Little Prince. You would ask him to read it again and again. I still like that book, Michael murmured. He said that when you grew up he would teach you to ride a bike, to drive, to be a good man. He made plans for the two of you. Samantha watched Michael look through the photos, seeing the emotion taking over his face. Mum, why did you never show me this before? Because I was afraid of making you suffer, but now I see that was a mistake. You need to know what kind of father you can be. And what kind of father can I be? Just like him, affectionate, present, dedicated. You don't learn that, son. It's in the heart. Michael looked at Samantha, who was crying silently. Mike, she said, you're already affectionate with me. You're already present, you're already dedicated. You just need to trust yourself. And if I can't, then we learn together, said Mrs. Margaret, like all parents do. That afternoon, they stayed at Mrs. Margaret's house, looking at photos and listening to stories. Michael discovered he had inherited his father's sense of humor, his patience, his tendency to sing in the shower. He sang? Asked Michael, laughing. He did. Very badly, by the way, just like you. When they left, Michael was transformed. Not completely healed. There was still work to do, but lighter, more hopeful. Thank you, Samantha said to Mrs. Margaret at the door. For what, my dear? For helping him remember who he is. In the days that followed, Michael began to show cautious excitement about the pregnancy. He researched fetal development, bought books on fatherhood, and even started looking at cribs online. But the universe still had some surprises in store for them. At the 16-week prenatal appointment, Dr. Robert Wilson, Samantha's obstetrician, frowned while looking at the ultrasound. Is everything all right, doctor? Asked Samantha, squeezing Michael's hand. Yes, it is. I'm just seeing something interesting here. He moved the transducer over her belly, and the monitor showed images that neither of them could fully decipher. Are you seeing this here? He pointed to the screen. What is it? Michael asked. There are 2 hearts beating. Samantha felt the world spin. 2 hearts? Congratulations! You're having twins. The silence in the office was total. Michael turned white as a wall. Twins, he repeated, more to himself. Monozygotic, from what I can see, meaning identical. Samantha looked at Michael, worried about his reaction. He was motionless, his eyes fixed on the screen. Mike, she called softly. 2 babies, he whispered. Yes, 2. Dr. Wilson noticed the tension in the air. I know it's a big surprise. I'll give you a few minutes to process. He left the room, leaving Michael and Samantha alone with the sound of the 2 hearts beating on the monitor. Mike, say something. Michael finally turned to her, and Samantha was surprised to see tears in his eyes. Sam, I could barely accept 1 baby, and now there are 2. I know it's scary. Scary? Sam, I'm going to have to be a father to 2 babies at the same time. What if I can't do it? What if I'm not up to it? We'll manage. How can you be so sure? Because we love each other, and because even though you're scared, you're here. You didn't run away. Michael took a deep breath, looking at the screen where the 2 small forms were still visible. They're small, he commented. They are, but they'll grow. And they're going to need a lot of things. They will. Double the diapers, double the bottles, double the crying. And double the love, too. He looked at her with an expression she couldn't decipher. Sam, I'm really scared. Me too. You are? I am. 2 babies is a lot of responsibility, but I'm happy too. How can you feel both things at the same time? Because both things are true. You can be scared and joyful together. Dr. Wilson returned to the room at that moment. How are you feeling? Confused, Michael answered honestly. It's normal. Twins are always a surprise, even for couples trying to get pregnant. Doctor, Samantha asked, will the pregnancy be more complicated? A bit. We'll need to monitor more closely, have more frequent appointments. But you're young and healthy. I don't see any reason for concern. And the delivery? We'll see. Sometimes twins are born vaginally, sometimes they need a C-section. It's still too early to decide. Michael asked several technical questions about nutrition, exercise, warning signs. Samantha noticed he was dealing with anxiety by getting informed, and she thought that was a good sign. When they left the office, they walked silently to the car. Mike, Samantha said when they were in the vehicle, do you want to talk about this? I do, but not now. I need to process it first. That's fine. They drove home in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. That night, Michael stayed up late, researching twins on the internet. Samantha pretended to sleep, but watched him out of the corner of her eye, seeing the blue light of the laptop illuminate his worried face. In the morning, she woke up alone. Michael had gotten up early and was in the kitchen making coffee. Did you sleep well? He asked when she came down. More or less. And you? I researched twins until 3 in the morning. And did you find anything useful? I found out we're going to spend a fortune on diapers. Samantha laughed, and it was good to hear the sound. I also found out that identical twins have a special bond between them, as if they were two parts of the same person. That's beautiful. Yeah, and scary. Imagine if one of them gets hurt and the other feels it. Mike, you're overthinking. I am. It's my way of dealing with fear. Samantha came closer and hugged him from behind. We're going to be okay. How do you know? Because I trust us. Michael turned around in her arms. Sam, I want you to know that, even though I'm scared, I'm happy. Really? I am. 2 children of ours, Sam. 2 people who will be half me, half you. And who will love you unconditionally. I hope so. I know so. They went to the cafe together that morning. Michael hadn't told anyone about the pregnancy yet, but Barbara and Jennifer knew something had changed because Samantha was happier. Are you two doing better? Asked Barbara. We are, Samantha confirmed, and it's going to get even better, added Michael, smiling. Why? Jennifer wanted to know. Samantha looked at Michael, who nodded encouragingly. Because you're going to be aunts to twins. Jennifer's scream of joy was heard throughout the cafe. Barbara dropped a tray of clean cups. Twins? She repeated. We found out yesterday, Michael explained. My God, what news? Barbara hugged them tightly. 2 babies at once. That's right, Michael said, still processing the reality. Are you prepared for this one? Asked Jennifer. No one is prepared for twins, answered Barbara. But we manage. That's what we're trying to believe, admitted Samantha. The rest of the day passed in a haze of congratulations and questions from regular customers who knew the couple. Michael was more excited than Samantha had seen him in weeks, as if telling others had made the pregnancy more real and less scary. But when they got home, he grew quiet again. Mike, what are you thinking about? I'm thinking that I need to get better very quickly. Better how? As a person, as a husband, as a future father. You're already great at all those things. No, Sam. In the last few weeks, I've been selfish, fearful, even cruel to you. That can't happen when the babies come. You were scared. It's human. And I'll be scared again. Many times. But I need to learn to deal with it without hurting you. Samantha looked at him affectionately. Is therapy helping? It is. Dr. Parker said that in the next session, he wants to work on strategies for dealing with anxiety. Can I come along? Of course. In fact, he suggested that we take a parenting preparation course. Would you be up for it? I would, especially now that there are 2. They signed up for the course the following week. It was offered at the hospital where Samantha was going to give birth, and it lasted 6 weeks. The first class was eye-opening. There were 8 couples, including 2 other mothers of twins. Michael was visibly relieved to realize he wasn't the only nervous father in the group. Let's do an activity, said the nurse in charge of the course, Margaret Miller, who coincidentally had the same name as Michael's mother. Each father will hold a doll that simulates the weight of a newborn. Michael picked up the doll hesitantly. It was heavier than he expected and more fragile too. Now imagine he's been crying for 2 hours and you don't know why. Michael looked at the plastic doll and felt a pang of anxiety. How do you feel? Asked the nurse. Desperate, answered one of the other fathers. Incompetent, said another. Michael, the nurse called on him, like I want to hand him over to someone who knows what they're doing. And if there's no one? If it's just you and your wife? Michael looked at Samantha. Then we'd have to figure it out together. Exactly. And that's what all parents do. No one is born knowing. The class continued with practical guidance on how to change diapers, bathe, and feed. Michael paid attention to every detail, asking questions and taking notes. In the second class, they learned about the early signs of labor and when to go to the hospital. Samantha was in her 20th week of pregnancy, and her belly was already clearly showing. With twins, labor can start earlier, the nurse explained. It's important to be attentive to the signs. What signs? Michael asked, worried. Regular contractions, fluid loss, bleeding, but don't worry. We'll teach you how to recognize everything. That night, Michael became obsessed with the signs of premature labor. He woke Samantha up 3 times asking if she was feeling contractions. "Mike, I'm fine," she said the 3rd time. "Are you sure? Nothing hurts?" "Only you're poking." "Sorry, I'm just worried." "I know. But you need to trust my body. It knows what it's doing." "And if it doesn't?" "Then we go to the hospital and let the doctors take care of it." Michael lay down again, but Samantha noticed he didn't fall back asleep. The next morning, she talked to Barbara about his anxiety. "Men are just like that," said Barbara. "When my husband found out I was pregnant with our first, he read every book about pregnancy he could find. He knew more about symptoms than I did. But Michael is obsessive. He woke me up 3 times last night. It's because there are 2 babies he feels the responsibility is double. And how did your husband overcome the anxiety? He didn't. He learned to live with it. And when the baby was born, the anxiety shifted focus. How so? Instead of worrying about the pregnancy, he started worrying about the child. It's part of being a father." Samantha sighed. "So it never ends?" "No, but it gets easier. And Michael is a good man, Sam. He's going to be a wonderful father." In the 3rd class of the course, they learned about breastfeeding and newborn care. Michael asked so many questions that the nurse joked that he could teach the course instead of her. "I just want to be sure I'll know how to help," he explained. "Michael, you don't need to know everything before the babies are born," said the nurse. "A lot of it you only learn through practice. But what if I do something wrong?" "You will. All parents do. It's part of the learning process." "What if I hurt them?" "Babies are more resilient than they seem, and you'll have instincts you don't even know you have." Samantha took Michael's hand. "Honey, you're not going to hurt our children." "How can you be so sure?" "Because I see how you treat me, how you treat your mother, how you treat everyone you love. You're kind by nature." Michael squeezed her hand, but Samantha noticed he still wasn't convinced. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to leave a like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. The 4th class was about preparing the home environment. They learned about safety, organizing the baby's room, and how to adapt the house for newborns. "We're going to need 2 of everything," Michael commented to Samantha on the way home. "Not everything. They can share some things." "Like what?" "The room, toys, clothes. But each one will have their own personality, right? Maybe they won't want to share everything." Samantha smiled. It was the first time Michael had talked about the babies as individuals with their own personalities and not just as scary responsibilities. "Probably. But when they're old enough to have preferences, we'll adapt." "What if they're very different?" "How so?" "I don't know." "And if one is extroverted and the other shy? What if one likes soccer and the other likes music?" "Then we'll support both in whatever they like, even if it's things I don't understand." "Especially if they're things you don't understand. Sometimes children teach us new things." Michael was quiet for a moment. "Sam, can I tell you something?" "Of course." "Sometimes I wonder what they'll be like. If they'll have your eyes or mine. If they'll like the same things we like." "It's nice to imagine, isn't it?" "Yeah. And scary too, because they'll be real people with their own wills." "And that's bad?" "No, it's just intense." When they got home, they went up to what would be the baby's room. It was still empty, just with some boxes of clothes that Mrs. Margaret had bought. "Shall we start getting it ready?" suggested Samantha. "Already? They won't be born for another 4 months." "But there are 2, Mike. We'll need more time to organize everything." Michael looked around the empty room. "Where do we start? How about painting the walls?" "What color?" "A neutral color. Light yellow, maybe." "Or aqua green," suggested Michael. "Aqua green is pretty." "My mom said my nursery was aqua green." Samantha smiled. "Then aqua green it is." They spent the weekend buying paint and supplies. Michael insisted on doing everything himself, not wanting Samantha to inhale the paint fumes. While he painted, Samantha organized the little clothes they already had. It was thrilling to see how small they were, to imagine the babies wearing those tiny little onesies. "Mike," she called when he took a break. "What is it?" "Look at this." She showed a pair of white socks, so small they fit in the palm of her hand. "They're smaller than I imagined," he commented. "They are, and they'll fit our babies." Michael put down the brush and came closer. "Can I touch your belly?" "Of course." He placed his hands on her belly, still small but already noticeable. "They're in there," he murmured. "They are, growing every day. Can you feel them move yet?" "Not yet, but it should be soon." Michael kept his hands on her belly for a few minutes. "Sam, I want you to know that even with all the fear, I'm happy." "I know. And that I love you very much." "I love you too. And I'll love them too. I don't know how yet, but I will." "You already do. You just haven't realized it yet." In the days that followed, Michael entered a phase of hyperactivity. He finished painting the room, assembled the cribs they had bought, organized the clothes by size. He also read 3 books on child development and joined an online group for parents of twins. "You're overdoing it," said Samantha, finding him at 2 in the morning researching educational toys for newborns. "I'm trying to prepare." "But you don't need to know everything before they're born." "Yes, I do. I'm responsible for 2 lives, Sam." "We are responsible. Together." Michael closed the laptop. "Sorry. It's just that sometimes the fear comes and I don't know what to do with it." "What did Dr. Parker say about that?" "That it's normal. That every father is afraid, but that I can't let the fear paralyze me." "And do you think you're paralyzed?" "Sometimes. Like now, researching things that won't matter for years." Samantha sat on the bed next to him. "Mike, our kids might not even like educational toys. They might prefer cardboard boxes." "Cardboard boxes?" "Yeah. Kids sometimes like the box more than the toy that came inside." Michael laughed for the first time in days. "Really? Really? So all this research might be useless? Then what do I do with the anxiety?" "Talk to me, or to Dr. Parker, or to your mum, but don't pretend you can control everything." Michael lay down beside her. "Sam, can I ask you a stupid question?" "Go ahead." "How are you not terrified?" "You're going to have to carry 2 babies, nurse both of them, stay up all night." "Who said I'm not terrified? You don't show it." "Because I need to be strong for you. If we both panic at the same time, who will calm us down?" Michael turned to face her. "Are you pretending to be calm?" "Not pretending, but choosing to focus on the good things instead of the scary ones." "What do you mean?" "Like the fact that we're going to have 2 beautiful babies, that they'll always have each other, that our house will be full of laughter and mess." "And you don't think about the bad things?" "I do, but I don't let them take over." Michael was quiet for a moment. "Sam, I want to learn how to do that." "Do what?" "Focus on the good things. You just practice. Every time a bad thought comes, you replace it with a good one." "Like what?" "Like imagining you teaching our children to walk, or reading stories to them before bed." "Like my father did with me." "Exactly." Michael smiled. "I want to read The Little Prince to them." "That will be beautiful." "And teach them how to play soccer, even if they're girls?" "Especially if they're girls. My daughter won't need anyone to defend her." Samantha laughed. "Your daughters? Can you picture yourself being a father to girls?" "I picture myself being a father, period. Boys, girls, it doesn't matter. I just want them to be healthy and happy. They will be, because they'll have you as their father." "How can you be so sure?" "Because you care so much. Bad fathers don't worry about being good fathers." In the weeks that followed, Michael began to relax. Not completely. He still had moments of anxiety, but he was learning to handle them better. In the 24th week of pregnancy, Samantha finally felt the babies move. She was at the cafe organizing the stock when she felt a strange sensation in her abdomen. "Oh," she said, putting her hand on her belly. "What is it?" asked Barbara, worried. "I think they moved." "Moved?" "The babies." "I think so." It was a weird feeling. "Good weird or bad weird?" "Good." "Like little bubbles rising." Barbara smiled. That's it, they're saying hello. Samantha stood still, waiting to feel it again, and she did. A gentle sensation, like little fish swimming inside her. "Michael," she shouted. He came running down from the office. "What happened? Are you okay?" "They're moving." "Moving? How moving?" "Come here." She took his hand and placed it on her belly. He couldn't feel anything yet. It was too early for that. But Samantha could clearly feel the movements. "They're in there," she murmured. "Really? Really? Our babies are awake." Michael kept his hand on her belly, waiting to feel something. He didn't, but the expression on Samantha's face was enough. "What does it feel like?" "Like they're swimming or dancing." "Dancing?" "Yeah, like they're happy in there." Michael smiled. "Maybe they are. Maybe they feel that they're loved." "Of course they do. Because they are." That night, Samantha woke up to more movement. This time it was stronger, more defined. "Mike," she whispered. "They're moving again." Michael opened his eyes immediately. "Really?" "Really. And stronger now." He put his hand on her belly again. This time, after a few minutes, he felt something. A little push against his palm. "Was that it?" he asked, his eyes wide. "That was it. Did you feel it?" "I felt it." "Wow, Sam. Our son just greeted me." Or our daughter. Or both at the same time. They lay there, in the dark, with Michael's hand on Samantha's belly, waiting for the next movements. And they came, little pushes and pokes that clearly said, "We're here. We're real." "Sam," Michael whispered. "What?" "I think I just fell in love. With me. With all three of you." From that moment on, Michael changed. He didn't stop being afraid. That probably would never happen. But the fear was gradually replaced by something stronger. Love and protection. He started talking to Samantha's belly every night, telling her about his day, singing songs he remembered from childhood. "Can they hear?" he asked Dr. Wilson at an appointment. "Starting at 20 weeks, yes. Their hearing is already developed." "And do they recognize voices?" "Mostly their mothers, but their fathers too. Keep talking to them." Michael took the advice seriously. He began reading The Little Prince aloud every night, a tradition he planned to continue after they were born. At 28 weeks, Dr. Wilson suggested that Samantha start slowing down her work pace. With twins, the risk of premature labor increases after 30 weeks, he explained. "How premature?" Michael asked. "Usually between 34 and 37 weeks. It's still safe, but the closer to 37 weeks, the better." "And what can we do to prevent it?" "Rest, proper nutrition, stress reduction." "Complete bed rest?" Samantha wanted to know. "Not complete, but reduce physical activities. No more standing for hours at the cafe." Michael grew worried. "Sam, maybe you should stop working." "I can't stop completely. The cafe needs me." "The girls and I can handle it." "But, Sam," Barbara interrupted, "he's right. You need to take care of those babies." "I can work part-time," Samantha suggested. 4 hours a day, only sitting down, Michael stipulated. They reached an agreement. Samantha would only work in the mornings, handling administrative tasks, while Barbara and Jennifer would manage customer service. The change in routine was strange at first, but Samantha admitted she had been feeling more tired lately. In the afternoons, she rested at home or organized things for the babies. It was during one of these afternoons that she discovered something that would change everything. Michael had left his phone at home, charging in the kitchen. When it rang, Samantha went to answer it, thinking it might be something important from the cafe, but it wasn't a call. It was a message, and what she read left her frozen. "Mike, thank you for the talk yesterday. You have no idea how much you helped me. See you tonight. Emily." Samantha read the message twice, trying to understand. What talk? Why was Emily thanking Michael for something that happened the night before? And what did "see you tonight" mean? Her heart raced. Was Michael lying about Emily? Was there really something between them? She put the phone back in its place. but she couldn't stop thinking about the message. When Michael got home, Samantha was tense. "Hi, honey," he said, kissing her forehead. "How was your afternoon?" "Fine," she lied. "Did you do anything fun?" "I organized the baby's clothes." "That's good. I'm starving. What are we having for dinner?" Samantha watched him. He seemed normal, relaxed, not like someone who was hiding something. "Mike, can I ask you something?" "Sure." "What did you do last night after I fell asleep?" Michael stopped washing his hands at the sink. "Why are you asking?" "Just curious." "I was in the office for a bit, finishing up some reports. Why?" "Alone?" "Alone." "Sam? Why these questions?" Samantha hesitated. Should she tell him about the message or investigate on her own? "It's just that you got home late yesterday. I was worried." "Late? It was only about 20 minutes extra." "I know. Sorry, it must be the hormones. Sometimes I get paranoid." Michael came closer and hugged her. "Sam, you don't need to worry. If I have to stay later, I'll let you know, okay?" "Okay." But Samantha wasn't at ease. The message kept hammering in her head. The next day, she went to the cafe just to talk to Barbara and Jennifer. "Did you see Michael talking to Emily yesterday?" she asked. "How did you see them talking?" Jennifer wanted to know. "I don't know." "Talking." "Sam, did something happen?" Barbara noticed the tension in her voice. "I found a message from Emily on his phone." "What kind of message?" "Thanking him for a conversation they had last night." Barbara and Jennifer exchanged looks. "Sam," said Barbara carefully, "are you sure you're not misinterpreting?" "How so?" "I don't know. Maybe she was talking about a professional conversation." "At night? Or during the day and she just texted at night?" Samantha sighed. "Do you think I'm paranoid?" "I think you're pregnant, anxious, and with hormones all over the place," said Jennifer. "And that maybe you should talk to Michael before jumping to conclusions. But what if he lies?" "What if he doesn't lie?" Barbara retorted. Samantha knew they were right, but she couldn't shake the suspicion. That afternoon, she decided to go to the cafe at the time Michael would normally be there. She arrived around 5, when the crowd was thinning out. Michael was at the counter, talking to a customer. When he saw her, he smiled. "Hi, honey. What are you doing here?" "I came to pick you up. I thought we could go to the doctor together." "What doctor? You don't have an appointment today." "No, but I wanted to ask Dr. Wilson a question about the false contractions I've been having." Michael immediately got worried. "Contractions? What contractions? Why didn't you tell me?" "They're false, Mike, normal in pregnancy." "Even so, let's go. Let me grab my things." He went up to the office and Samantha took the chance to ask Barbara, "Did Emily come here today?" "She did. She worked until about 4. "And yesterday? Did she stay late?" "Sam, why are you asking this?" "I just want to understand something. Yesterday she left at the normal time, around 5:30. Samantha was confused. If Emily had left at 5:30, when had she and Michael talked? Michael came down at that moment. "Shall we? Let's go." On the way to the office, Samantha tried to think of a way to bring up the subject without sounding accusatory. "Mike, can I ask you a question about Emily?" "Sure. Have you been talking a lot lately?" "The usual. Why?" "It's just, well, I found a message from her on your phone. Michael hit the brakes harder than he should have." "What message?" "Thanking you for a conversation you had last night." Michael pulled the car over to the shoulder. "Sam, you went through my phone." "I didn't go through it. It rang and I went to answer it, thinking it might be something important." "And you read my message?" "I did. And I want to understand what it's about." Michael took a deep breath. "All right, I'll explain. I'm waiting. Yesterday, when I was closing up the cafe, Emily called me. She was having an anxiety attack and didn't know what to do. And you went to help her?" "No. I talked to her on the phone for almost an hour." "On the phone?" "On the phone. Sam, she has no one in New York. Her family is all from the countryside. When she has these episodes, she's all alone." Samantha felt relieved and embarrassed at the same time. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I thought you'd be upset. I know you've been a little bothered by how close she is to me." I was, but I'd rather know the truth. Sam, I swear to you there is nothing between me and Emily, nothing beyond a professional relationship, and at most a friendship. I believe you. Do you really? I do. I'm sorry for suspecting. Michael reached out and touched her face. Sam, you need to understand something. I love you. I love you and our babies. There is nothing in the world that can change that. I know. It's just that sometimes I feel insecure. Because of the pregnancy, because of everything, my body changing, the hormones, the fear that you might regret having children with me. Sam, look at me. She looked at him. I will never ever regret having children with you. Maybe it took me a while to accept it, but now I know this is what I always wanted. Are you sure? I am. So much so that there's something I want to ask you. What? Let's get married again. Samantha's eyes widened. What do you mean? A vow renewal, before the babies are born, to celebrate this new phase of our lives. Really? Really? What do you think? Samantha started to cry. Hormones, relief, and happiness, all mixed together. I think that's the most beautiful thing you've ever said to me. So is that a yes? It's a yes. They kissed right there, in the car parked on the shoulder, while the New York traffic flowed around them. The vow renewal was scheduled for the 32nd week of pregnancy. It would be a small ceremony, just for family and close friends. Mrs. Margaret was thrilled with the news. What a wonderful idea, she said. I'll make Sam's dress. Mom, you don't have to, protested Samantha. Yes, I do. It will be my gift to you. Barbara and Jennifer offered to organize the party. It would be at the cafe itself after business hours. We'll make everything beautiful, promised Jennifer. The following weeks were a whirlwind of preparations, but a happy whirlwind. Michael was more excited about the vow renewal than he had been about the original wedding. It's because now I understand what it means, he explained to Samantha. What do you mean? When we first got married, I was young and thought love was just a feeling. Now I know it's a choice too. A choice. Choosing to stand by your side every day, choosing to build a family with you, choosing to face our fears together. And you choose me? Every day. Forever. 2 weeks before the ceremony, Samantha had a scare. She was at home, folding the baby's little clothes, when she felt a sharp pain in her abdomen. Ow! She cried out, doubling over. The pain passed, but came back a few minutes later, and then again, contractions. With trembling hands, she called Michael. Mike, I think I'm going into labor. What? Now? Where are you? At home. The contractions started about 20 minutes ago. I'm on my way. Call Dr. Wilson. Samantha called the doctor, who told her to time the contractions and go to the hospital if they were regular and strong. Michael got home in record time. How are you? In pain and scared. Are the contractions regular? Every 10 minutes. Let's go to the hospital. The drive to the hospital was tense. Samantha tried to breathe as they had taught in the class, while Michael drove, praying that everything would be all right. At the maternity ward, Dr. Wilson greeted them personally. Let's see what's going on, he said, examining Samantha. After a few minutes, he smiled. False alarm. They're Braxton Hicks contractions, stronger than usual, but it's not labor. Are you sure? Michael asked. I am. The cervix hasn't dilated at all. The babies are still going to stay in there for a few more weeks. Samantha collapsed in relief. What a scare. It's normal, Dr. Wilson reassured her. Especially with twins. The uterus is rehearsing for the real birth. And the vow renewal? Can we keep the date? Yes, you can, just don't overdo it at the party. When they got home, Michael was visibly shaken. Sam, I've never been so scared in my life. Scared of what? Of losing them, the three of you. You're not going to lose us. The doctor said everything is fine. But what if it wasn't? What if it was real labor? They wouldn't be ready yet. But they would be almost ready. 32 weeks is viable. Viable isn't ideal. Samantha moved closer and hugged her husband. Mike, We can't live in fear of what might go wrong. We have to trust that it will go right. How can you be so optimistic? Because the alternative is to go crazy with worry. And that doesn't help anyone. You're right, it's just that it was very frightening. For me too, but it passed, and we're fine. Sam, can I ask you something? Go ahead. For the next few weeks, no exertion, no stress, just rest and care. All right, but you also need to relax. How? By stopping worrying about everything that could go wrong and focusing on what will go right. Like our vow renewal, exactly, and the birth of our children, and our life together. The vow renewal took place on a sunny Saturday afternoon. The cafe had been decorated with white and yellow flowers, and there was a small makeshift altar where the counter normally stood. Samantha wore a simple but elegant dress that Mrs. Margaret had made, adjusted for her 8-month belly. Michael wore the same suit from the original wedding, which still fit him perfectly. "Dear children," began the priest, the same one who had married them the first time. 5 years ago you married full of dreams and hopes. Today, with 2 lives growing inside Samantha, you choose to renew those vows. "Michael," said the priest, "do you wish to renew your promise to love, honor, and care for Samantha, in joy and in sorrow, in sickness and in health, until death do you part?" "I do," Michael answered, looking into Samantha's eyes. "And you, Samantha, do you wish to renew your promise to love, honor, and care for Michael, in joy and in sorrow, in sickness and in health, until death do you part?" "I do," she said, her voice choked. "Michael, is there anything you would like to say to Samantha?" Michael took a deep breath. "Sam, 5 years ago, I promised you I would be your partner for life. I didn't really know what that meant. Now I do. It means being by your side when you need me, even when I'm scared. It means choosing our family every day. It means trusting in our love, even when everything seems uncertain. And it means there's nothing in the world I want more than to be the father of your children and your husband forever." There wasn't a dry eye in the cafe. "Samantha, Mike, thank you for choosing me. Thank you for overcoming your fears for us. Thank you for becoming the man I always knew you could be. I love you not only for who you are, but for what we are together. And I can't wait to see you being a father to our babies." They exchanged rings again, rings they had engraved with the dates of both weddings. "Now you may kiss," said the priest. The kiss was long and intense, sealing not only the renewal of their vows, but also a new phase of their life. The party was small, but joyful. Barbara and Jennifer had prepared a table with sweets and savories, and someone brought a guitar. Michael sang to Samantha the same song he had sung at the original wedding. "Thank you all so much for coming," Samantha said to the guests. "You are our chosen family." "And now it's going to grow," said Mrs. Margaret, touching her daughter-in-law's belly. "When they're born, we'll have another party," promised Michael. "To introduce them to everyone," added Samantha. The party ended early. Dr. Wilson had recommended that Samantha not stand for too long, but it was perfect, just the way it was. That night, lying in bed, Michael and Samantha talked about the day. "It was beautiful," she said. "It was. And now we're officially married again." "With 2 extra witnesses," she said, touching her belly. "Did they feel everything?" "They did. They were moving a lot during the ceremony. Maybe they were happy. Or maybe they didn't like the singing uncle's music," she joked. Michael laughed. "My voice isn't that bad. It's not. It's just unique." They laughed together and it felt good. It had been a long time since they had laughed together without worries. "Sam, can I tell you something?" "Always." "Today, when I saw you entering the cafe in your white dress with our family waiting, I finally understood." "Understood what?" "Why my father wanted to marry my mother. Why he wanted to have children. Why he fought so hard against the illness." "And why?" "Because when you truly love someone, you want to build a life with that person. You want to leave something in the world that is half yours, half theirs. And you want that with me?" "I already do. Our children are our mark on the world, our proof that our love is real." Samantha kissed her husband softly. I love you, Michael Miller. I love you, Samantha Miller, and we will love our children. We will. More than they can imagine. 3 weeks after the vow renewal, in the 35th week of pregnancy, Samantha woke up with a strange feeling. It wasn't exactly pain, but a different discomfort, as if something was changing inside her. "Mike," she called softly. I think it's today." Michael opened his eyes immediately. "Today what?" "I think they're going to be born today." "Are you feeling contractions?" "Not yet, but it's a different feeling, like they're getting ready." Michael sat up in bed. "Do you want to go to the hospital?" "Not yet. I'll take a shower and see how I feel." Samantha took a long, relaxing shower. The strange feeling continued, but there was still no pain. When she came out of the bathroom, Michael was in the kitchen making breakfast. "How are you?" "Good. Hungry." "Is that a good sign?" "I don't know, but I'm going to eat." They had breakfast together, talking about everyday things as if it were a normal day, but they both knew it wasn't. Around 10 in the morning, the first contractions began. Mild at first, but regular. "I think it's serious now," Samantha said. "Let's time them." The contractions came every 15 minutes, lasting about 30 seconds each. "Dr. Wilson said to go when they're 5 minutes apart," Michael reminded her, "or when I can't talk through them anymore." "Can you talk now?" "I can." They spent the morning at home, timing contractions and finishing the last preparations. The bags had been ready for weeks. Around 2 in the afternoon, the contractions intensified. Now they came every 8 minutes and were more painful. "I think it's time," said Samantha, holding onto the doorframe during a particularly strong contraction. "Are you sure?" "I am. Call the doctor." Dr. Wilson instructed them to go to the hospital immediately. "With twins, it's better not to take any chances," he said. Michael loaded the bags into the car while Samantha said goodbye to the house. "When we come back, there will be 4 of us," she murmured, running her hand over her belly. "Are you ready?" "I think so. And you?" "I'll never be completely ready, but I'm excited." The drive to the hospital was calm. The contractions were regular but still bearable. At the maternity ward, they went straight to the room that was already reserved. Dr. Wilson was waiting for them. "Let's see how things are," he said, examining Samantha. 4 centimeters dilated. We're already in active labor." "How long until they're born?" Michael asked. "Hard to say. With the first child it can take several hours, but with twins sometimes it's faster. Is faster good or bad? It depends. If it's not too fast, it's good." The hours that followed were intense. The contractions became stronger and more frequent. Samantha tried to use the breathing techniques they had learned while Michael supported her as best he could. "You're doing so well," he said, holding her hand. "It doesn't feel like it," she replied between contractions. "It does. You're the bravest woman I know." Around 8 in the evening, Dr. Wilson announced it was time. 10 centimeters. Let's go to the delivery room." Samantha was transferred to a gurney and taken to the operating room. Michael accompanied her, wearing sterile scrubs. "With twins, we always deliver in the operating room in case an emergency C-section is needed," Dr. Wilson explained. "Will she need one?" Michael asked, worried. "We'll see. The first baby is well positioned. If everything goes well with him, the second should come naturally too." Samantha was positioned on the delivery table, and intense labor began. "With the next contraction, you're going to push," instructed Dr. Wilson. "Mike, hold my hand," Samantha requested. "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." The contraction came and Samantha pushed with all her might. "Very good. I can already see the head." Michael looked where the doctor was pointing and saw something that took his breath away, the tiny head of his first son appearing. "My God, Sam, he's coming. One more push, a big one now." Samantha cried out in pain and effort, and suddenly the first baby was born. "It's a boy," announced Dr. Wilson. The baby's cry filled the room, and both Michael and Samantha began to cry too. "Is he okay?" Samantha asked. "He's perfect. Michael, do you want to cut the cord?" With trembling hands, Michael cut the umbilical cord of his first son. "Hi, my son," he whispered when the baby was briefly placed in his arms before going for initial care. "Now we wait for the second one," said Dr. Wilson. "It usually takes 5 to 15 minutes. But the second baby was in a hurry. Just 3 minutes later, the contractions started again. "He's already coming," said the doctor. "Samantha, another series of pushes." The second baby was born even faster than the first. "Another boy! Identical twins!" The second cry joined the first, creating a symphony Michael would never forget. "Two boys," he murmured, incredulous. "Our boys," said Samantha, exhausted but radiant. After the initial procedures, the two babies were placed on Samantha's chest. They were small but perfect, with dark hair like their father's and eyes that couldn't quite focus yet. "They're beautiful," Michael said, gently touching each one's hand. "They look exactly the same," observed Samantha. "How will we tell them apart? For now with the hospital bracelets, later we'll figure out other ways." Michael watched his sons for a long time. The fear he had felt for months had completely disappeared, replaced by a love so intense it almost hurt. "Sam, thank you." "For what?" "For giving me the two most beautiful gifts of my life. We gave them to each other, my love, together. And now? Now we learn to be parents, day by day. Do you think we can do it?" "I'm sure. Look at them, Mike. Look how calm they are in our arms. They already know they're safe." Michael looked at his sons and then at his wife, the woman who had endured his fears, his insecurities, and still had faith in their future. "Sam, there's one thing I want you to know." "What?" "The day you walked into my office to tell me you were pregnant, it was the best day of my life, even though I didn't know it at the time." "Really? Really? Because it was the day our real family began. And you don't regret it?" "I regret being afraid, but having children with you? Never." Samantha smiled, tears of happiness streaming down her face. "What will we name them?" "I've thought about that. How about Ethan and Noah?" "Ethan, like the boy from the story you once created. And Noah, like the Archangel Michael, to always protect them." "I love those names. Then it's official. Ethan and Noah Miller." They stayed in the maternity ward for 3 days. Michael barely left the room, fascinated by his sons. Every expression, every movement, every sound they made was a source of wonder. "Look, Ethan is trying to open his eyes," he said on the second day. "And Noah is yawning," observed Samantha. "They already have different personalities." "Can you tell them apart?" "Ethan has a tiny little mark on his forehead, and Noah is a little bigger." "You're going to be a very observant father." "I'll have to be. There are 2 to take care of." "We'll have to be," she corrected. "That's true. We." Mrs. Margaret visited every day, completely in love with her grandsons. "They look just like Michael when he was a baby," she said, showing old photos. "Really?" Samantha wanted to know. "Really? Especially Ethan. He has the same face shape." "And their personalities, can you tell already?" "It's still early, but Noah seems calmer. Ethan complains more when he's hungry." Michael laughed. "Just like his father. I get unbearable when I'm hungry." Barbara and Jennifer also visited, bringing a bouquet of flowers and promises of help. "From now on you have 2 extra nannies," said Jennifer. "And 2 doting aunts," added Barbara. "Thank you, girls. We're really going to need the help. For everything, especially in the first few months." When it was finally time to go home, Michael was nervous again. "What if they cry and we don't know why?" "We'll figure it out," Samantha answered, already more experienced after 3 days of breastfeeding and care. "What if they get sick? We take them to the doctor. What if—" "Mike, stop, we'll learn as we go. No one is born knowing how to be a father or mother." The first night at home was tough. The babies woke up several times, and Michael and Samantha took turns calming them down. "I think Ethan is hungry," said Michael at 3 in the morning. "I just fed him. Maybe it's colic." "How do we know if it's colic?" "We don't. We try things until we figure it out." Michael picked Ethan up and started walking around the room, humming softly. After a few minutes, the baby calmed down. "It worked," he whispered, triumphant. "You're a natural father," said Samantha, smiling despite her exhaustion. "You think so?" "I do. Look how calm he is in your arms." Michael looked at his sleeping son and felt his heart swell with love. "Sam, thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for not giving up on us." In the months that followed, the Miller's life changed completely. Nights turned into days, and days became a succession of feedings, diaper changes, stolen naps, and moments of pure joy. Michael proved to be a dedicated and caring father. He took turns with Samantha for nighttime care, sang to the babies when they cried, and read The Little Prince every night as he had promised. "Do they understand?" asked Samantha one night, watching Michael read to his 2-month-old sons. "I don't know, but my father read to me, and I want to keep the tradition. It's beautiful to see you with them. It's strange. I still catch myself thinking, these are my sons, as if it's surreal. For me too, especially when I wake up and see the 2 little cribs. Do you regret anything?" "Not a thing. And you?" "For being so afraid. I wasted time I could have enjoyed more during the pregnancy. But you overcame the fear. That's what matters." Ethan and Noah grew up healthy and happy. By 6 months, it was easier to tell them apart. Ethan was more active and curious, while Noah was more observant and calm. "They're so different," commented Mrs. Margaret during a visit. "And so alike physically," said Samantha. "That's the beauty of identical twins. Same looks, unique personalities." Michael was on the living room floor playing with his sons when Samantha noticed he was crying. "Mike, what's wrong?" "Nothing. I'm just happy." "Happy about what?" "Everything. About them. About you. About our family." "Do you still get scared sometimes?" "I do. But it's a different kind of fear. It's not the fear of not being able to be a father. It's the fear of not being the best father I can be." "And is that good or bad?" "I think it's good. It means I care." When the twins turned 1, Michael and Samantha organized a party at the cafe. It was a celebration of life, family, and the love that had overcome all obstacles. "A year ago, we didn't even know they existed," said Samantha in her speech. "And today we can't imagine life without them," Michael added. Ethan and Noah, now toddling unsteadily and babbling their first words, were the center of attention. Everyone present remarked on how happy and well cared for they were. "You are wonderful parents," said Dr. Parker, who had become a family friend. "Thank you. It wasn't easy to get here," admitted Michael. "The best things in life never are. But it was worth it, wasn't it?" Michael looked at Samantha, who was trying to stop Ethan from eating his own cake, and at Noah, who was fascinated by the candles. Every moment of fear, every sleepless night, every worry was worth it. And now? Now we keep learning. Day by day. That night, after everyone had left and the children were asleep, Michael and Samantha sat on the couch, exhausted but happy. "Can I tell you a secret?" said Michael. "Always. Sometimes I wonder if my father would be proud of me." "He would be. I'm sure of it." "How do you know?" "Because you became the father he would have wanted to be for you. Present, caring, dedicated. Do you think he would approve of the names we chose?" "I think he would approve of everything. Our family, our happiness, our love." Michael hugged his wife. "Sam, thank you for insisting on us. Thank you for learning to trust in our love. And now, what comes next? Now we live, one day at a time, one surprise at a time." "Maybe more children," Samantha laughed. "Let these 2 grow up a little first. But would you consider having more? With you, I would consider anything." They stayed there, embracing on the couch, listening to the calm breathing of their children in the next room. The house that was once just a home for 2 was now full of life, love, and possibilities. Michael looked around, the toys scattered about, the family photos on the shelf, the drawings Ethan was already trying to make on the refrigerator, and knew he had found his place in the world. He wasn't the perfect father he had dreamed of being, but he was the father his children needed, and that was enough. End of story. And you? What did you think of this story of overcoming and love? Tell us in the comments where you're watching from and which part moved you the most. Do you believe Michael made the right choice by seeking help to overcome his fears? Leave your honest opinion below. Thank you so much for staying with us until the end of this story. Don't forget to leave your like and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other touching stories like this one.